Okay, we are here, subject to changes podcast. We are talking about something that's just remarkable. A couple of Die Hard movies. I'm here with my co-host, friend, brother, Eric Michaelian. Eric, how you doing this evening?
Hot town, summer in the city, back of my neck getting dirt and gritty. Oh, I'm feeling great, man. The hot weather's here. I'm just excited to be alive. How you feeling, brother?
I am good. I love the summer. I love swimming. I love going to the beach. But I'm not a fan of going to the beach when people are there. I kind of like going at night just to look at the ocean. It's very relaxing. What do you think of the beach? What's your favorite time to go to the beach?
My favorite time to go to the beach is like on a weekday. I don't like crowds that much at the beach, but I can tolerate them as long as I can get into those like sweet waves, man. That's my zen. When you jump into the crest of a wave and it just takes you away for like a couple seconds, it's like the greatest feeling in the world. So like at night, are you running butt ass naked into the ocean? Is that really why you want to go at
No,
night?
no, no. I'm not opposed to it, but I enjoy it. Like typically, I'll rent like an Airbnb with a balcony right on the ocean, and I'll just sit there and drink wine and look at the ocean and take in the nice air. It's really relaxing. It's amazing what the ocean can do for a person mentally, and for me, it's wonderful. Now we are talking the Die Hard movies. We're talking about three and four, but I think it's fair to say in 1988, action films were redefined with Die Hard. Quickly, what are your thoughts about the original Die Hard? And is it, as I contend, the best action film of all time?
I would say Die Hard's about as perfect as an action movie gets.
Oh yeah, I think it's the perfect movie. I was fortunate enough to grow up with it basically, but then also to take my son to a big screen showing of it with like I think it was Fandango did it, and seeing it big screen with my son and seeing how he loved it. It was great. Like you said, it's a perfect film. It's great to watch on Christmas or any other time. It was wonderful. And 2 years later, they followed up with Die Hard 2, which I feel is not as good, but what a sequel. I would say it's kind of like Terminator 2, kind of in reverse. I think Die Hard 2 is wonderful. What do you think?
Oh yeah, Die Hard 2 is great. It is not my favorite sequel, but it is definitely a really good sequel. It got kind of dark and the tone of it
Mhm.
was a lot darker, and I feel like with this movie, Die Hard with a Vengeance, they were able to pick up the joy a little bit. That the first one had a lot of joy to it, the Christmas music and all the
Yeah,
like the
yeah.
fun goings on between all the henchmen and like all these like different relationships going on. I feel like that came back with a vengeance in Die Hard 3.
It took 5 years to revisit the series. Now, I'm guessing they revisited it because Bruce Willis was striking out in between.
There's a
Is
lot of
is that
striking distance between Die
uh
Hard 2 and Die Hard 3.
last Boy Scout? I think was in between, which was a good
Color
movie,
of
but it
Night.
bombed. Color. Oh, I like Color of Night. I'm in the vast minority, but yeah, Color of Night. Hudson Hawk. He just had a lot of bad stuff, and they're like, I know what to do for a shot in the arm for Bruce Willis. Die Hard with a Vengeance. And it's kind of a different sort of approach, a different movie than the first two, and I kind of appreciated that. What do you think? And could you break down the synopsis of the 1995 Die Hard with a Vengeance?
In terms of this movie being different than the other two, they had to. They had to go bigger because how many fucking Die Hard ripoffs had they already had at that point? Yeah, Under Siege, you had all these movies between Die Hard and Die Hard 3 that they couldn't just do a man in an isolated location. They had to go big. And there is no bigger sandbox to play in than New York City, a new location for Die Hard. We got beautiful shots of the city at sunrise, traffic, people getting the newspaper, going to work, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere, bam, a bomb explodes in downtown. What a fucking opening. We find out that a mad bomber is going to be detonating bombs all over town unless John McClane comes off of his suspension and okay. So
Yeah,
you
he
you
has to
can't
be. He
really
has to
you
be.
can't really go into this movie without talking about this weird racial element to it that is, well, I don't know why it's there. It doesn't really need to be there. It doesn't really add anything. But so the bad guy, Simon, makes John McClane stand in Harlem with a big sandwich board that says, "I hate N-words." I guess that's what we'll call it.
We'll go with that. Okay.
And this catches the ire of a local shop owner, Zeus, played by the amazing Sam Jackson,
Yes.
who goes in to save his life from a bunch of young black males who are going to try and kill him. What did you think of this opening, and do you think this racial element added anything to this movie?
I don't think it did. They leaned into it very much with Zeus kind of like being racist, and then the whole wearing the sign thing, where if Simon's idea is to play with John, for him to put him in that situation immediately seemed kind of crazy. And it didn't make any sense. It made zero sense of why pick that particular thing outside of maybe Simon being racist and having fun. I don't know. But I see what they did and why they did it, kind of like to back up Zeus's thoughts that all white people are racist. And so maybe that was the thought. I could have lived without that scene. They could have done something differently. So I wasn't a big fan of the infused racism and the banter about race between Zeus and McClane. But I kind of understand why they did it, just to develop characters.
So Zeus saves John McClane's life. They go back to the police headquarters, and they get a call from Simon, who says that he's going to continuously set off bombs unless John and Zeus go to random locations all over New York and go to random payphones and solve riddles to prevent the bombs from going off. The first one they get is that 7 cats, like that, on the way to St. Ives, I met a man with 7
Yeah.
wives. Every wife had 7 sacks. Every sack had 7 cats. So this is a great premise for the movie, by the way. It gets the characters all over the city. They got to like run around and like do all these things. And
Yes.
it's really good. And it's particularly in this interaction with the 7 cats and 7, like this shit made me laugh so hard because Sam Jackson and Bruce Willis have undeniable chemistry. Maybe one of the best buddy cop duos of all time. Their whole thing about like, wait, hold on. All right, they're not going anywhere. The guy's going to St. Ives. And then John
Yes.
McClane goes, well, what are the other ones doing? He goes, they're sitting in the fucking road, man. I don't know. Like the way that Bruce Willis and Sam Jackson play off of each other is fucking brilliant. And what I love is John plays the idiot so well in a lot of these scenes. And
well, he's impulsive. Well, and that's the whole thing, is that McClane being so impulsive, he needed Zeus for balance. Otherwise, he's just going to be the bull in the china shop. So pairing these two together was amazing. And getting quickly back to their feud, it could have easily been a feud to where Zeus didn't like the fact that his kids are put in danger over McClane's problem. That could have been their problem, and that may have played off better. But you said it. These two together, it was magic.
that leads to a bomb in downtown around Wall Street. So they have to go from, I want to say it's like 72nd Street all the way to Wall Street, which is at the very bottom of Manhattan Island. So they have to hijack a cab and drive all throughout Central Park. This is like one of the best chases like in movie history, where they're just like going through the park. The cinematography is just amazing as they're like coming off of walls and going into streets, and the traffic is going this way and this way. They call an ambulance as like sort of like a linebacker to like, so they can just ride behind the ambulance all the way like halfway through the city. Brilliant fucking shit going on. And I think one of the things about this is when this movie is on, it's fucking on. It is so good, and it's maybe one of the best action movies I can think of. What do you think about this chase scene and sort of like the way this plot is developing?
It's awesome. It's New York City is a tremendous setting for any film. Immediately, it has a feel to it, and the fact that they are speeding through the streets, going through the park, is action packed. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, I loved it. I love New York City as a setting. I wish more movies used it as a setting, because think about the movies that have used it. Spider-Man, even like See No Evil, Hear No Evil starts off in New York. immediately you're just like, there's something special about that city, and they capture it very well in this film. So yeah, I loved it, man.
Yeah, this is a very New York movie. Like, there's a lot of talk about New York geography and a lot of like history of New York, and it's just like, it's definitely like the quintessential New York movie. And plus, one thing I love about this, and you don't see this a lot anymore, is just like there's people everywhere. The headquarters, there's wall-to-wall people. There's people on the streets that they're like, hey, get out of the way, get out of the way, move, move. I miss that shit in movies. It's just like we just don't want to pay for extras anymore. John jumps out of the cab. He gets onto the train and then finds the bomb in the back. He ends up throwing the bomb off the train, but the bomb goes off anyway, regardless of Zeus answering the phone. And what a train explosion. Like, this was a practical train explosion. The set with columns, and they threw the train at the camera, and everybody lives. And I was just like so in awe of this amazing, like, practical action, practical effect.
Yeah.
There's some CGI in this movie that sticks out like a sore thumb, but this was just like pure action movie porn.
Well, they don't make them like this anymore. Everything now would be done in a warehouse painted blue or green. Here, we're dealing with stuntmen, stunt drivers, practical effects, and it pays off. I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but when they're climbing that wire down to the boat, those are stuntmen. That's not CGI. So it made it feel better, because in the modern day of video games, a lot of recent CGI just looks like video games, car chases, explosions. You lose that real feel. This film, love it or hate it, it feels legit, and the explosions feel legit because they are legit. So yeah, practical effects, you can't freaking beat it.
The bomb goes off. They learn from these FBI, CIA liaisons that this guy, Simon, is actually Hans Gruber's brother, which I think brings it back, makes it a little more personal. It's a reason for John McClane to get involved with the whole plot and everything. I thought this was a good addition.
I'm not sure how I feel about Simon being Gruber's brother, because I know this film is based on a book that's not Die Hard, and they kind of roped it into a Die Hard movie, and they probably thought it was a cool idea, and like you said, it brings McClane into it. But I don't know. Can you picture Simon and Hans growing up together? They seem so different. But I will say, the reason I like it is the one line where McClane goes, "Your brother was an asshole," and Simon starts laughing. He goes, "Yeah, he was." Jeremy Irons was the perfect guy. This guy is awesome. They definitely picked a good bad guy, and I would argue Jeremy Irons is right behind Hans as the best diehard bad guy. What do you think?
Do you think he would have been better if he was naked doing kung fu in his hotel room, or do you think they could have left that out?
I try not to think about it. He's not answered my letters. They haven't shot that scene for me yet, so.
You didn't watch the special features then, did you, man?
Oh, it's there. Hold on. I'll be back. But Jeremy Irons, I love that guy, man.
Yeah, no, I think he was having a renaissance in the early '90s. He was the opposite of Bruce Willis. He did Dead Ringers and Lion King and this movie, which is the highest grossing movie of 1995. Fucking red letter days for Jeremy Irons. He's great. He's so good. And I think this character is a little bit underwritten. He doesn't get to do a lot. He's just like on a lot of phones, going a lot of radio things, and where Hans got to negotiate, he got to set bombs himself, he got to do all this. He doesn't get to do as much as Hans, but like very fucking memorable. So John and Zeus now have to go to a park and solve a water jug puzzle. Were you able to solve this water jug puzzle?
It's been 30 years and I still haven't figured it out.
Do you want a quick explanation of how this 5-gallon, 3-gallon thing works?
Yeah, no, go for it.
Here's what you do. You fill the 5-gallon, right?
Yep.
Fill it all the way. Pour 3 gallons into the 3-gallon bin. So now you have 2 gallons in the 5-gallon bin, and you have 3 in the 3. Then you dump out the 3. So 3-gallon jug is empty, and you got 2 gallons in the 5-gallon. Yes. Pour 2 gallons into the 3 gallons. Fill up the 5-gallon jug. Pour 1 gallon into the 3-gallon, and you got 4 gallons.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
got it now. Thank you.
So we find
Yeah.
out the bomb on the train was supposed to go off because now Simon can drill into the Federal Gold Reserve in New York. Nice little twist, I think. So Simon steals all the gold out of the Federal Reserve, and they solve the gallon puzzle. And
Yep.
Zeus carries the bomb over to a bunch of cops. Did you recognize the cop?
Oh, we had Ludwig Borga.
Ludwig Borga! Lex
He was mixed
Luger,
in there.
America's trash.
That guy had so much potential. He threw it all away.
John goes into the Federal Reserve and has a wonderful scene in an elevator. Simon finally tells his men to kill John directly. And while they're in the elevator, 5 guys get on. And then John just like shoots them all. Oh, what a great scene. I can't recall another scene like that before this, but I've seen a whole shitload of them since. Can you think of any other elevator action scenes before this movie?
Not really. This one definitely stands out, and the nice throwback to the guy with the badge and the little things that the guards were getting wrong. You know, it's raining dogs and cats and all these other things that are tipping off McClane that these guys are not American. So he was on guard. Yeah, very cool scene. It brought the McClane humor, right? Hey, I got my lottery tickets right in my pocket here, and shot him, which is great. And you brought up Jeremy Irons as Simon. Doesn't have a lot of time in this film, and you're right. It's almost like this film suffers from too many characters, and so he kind of gets lost in the mix. When if it was more of the Simon McClane battle, it would have been way better. But they were really focused on like jam packing this into a bigger film, and I think you lose with that. Take some of the scenes away where the kids in the school and the guys looking for him. Replace it with Jeremy Irons saying cool stuff. That would have been way better.
The one thing I love about these early Die Hard movies is that they do focus on all the other people who are sort of working around the plot. And, you know, the guy like Cobb and Green and Connie, all these people, like that one teleoperator or whatever, who's just like, half the city called 911. You know, they keep cutting back to her. I love little character scenes like that. And I think that's what sets Die Hard apart, where it's not just sort of a man alone. It's not Steven Seagal looking down at the camera and I'm going to kill everybody here because I'm writing my memoirs. It's like all these different parts are moving and working. And I think that's what makes the plot, the movie feel bigger, is because all these people are working on the same problem. What was that guy's name? Graham Greene, him and Arthur Cobb and Colleen Camp, all these cops are trying to find this bomb that Simon says he's planted in a school. And like, so all the cops around the city are running around looking at every school they can find. And then they get this new riddle. What's 21 out of 42? And they can't really figure it out. John then confronts some shoplifting kids who are like, there's no cops around. You could steal City Hall. And then like,
I hated that scene.
Did you?
I did. Like, it was so, like, this film, as much as I like this film, that scene with the kids that was so poorly acted, mixed with the scene of the truck driver in the dump truck underground, I think take away from the film so much. Those scenes could have been definitely tweaked or eliminated. I hated the kid scene. That kid, I saw him somewhere else. I know he's probably a nice guy. I know he's been in other stuff, but fuck him in this movie. That sucked.
This is kind of the point when things start falling apart. The movie doesn't completely lose me or anything like that, but there is just like some really contrived things that happen later in this movie. So they find Gold Reserve has been robbed. They steal a car, and Sam Jackson and his gold bar is actually hilarious. One thing that happens is like some lady cuts them off in traffic and he goes, "Hey, who do you think you are, Hillary Clinton?" And then Zeus goes, "That's it. It's the president of the United States. Who's the 21st president of the United States?" I'm like, that's a far-reaching clue there, man. And then it turns out that, and he finds out from the most knowledgeable dump truck driver in all of the city that the 21st president is Chester A. Arthur, and that leads them to find the bomb in Chester A. Arthur Elementary School, where Zeus's nephews are attending. That's a pretty big leap in logic.
All around it is. And it's so tough because, like, you watch Spider-Man when 9/11 happened, and the guys are on the bridge saying, and they protect Spider-Man. You
Yeah.
mess with one New Yorker, you mess with us all. As much as I was anti 9/11 terrorism, I hated that shit. And just like I hate this shit, it's almost like the perfect storm. Well, we're in Gloucester. We got to talk like Gloucestermen. And this is what we think they sound like. We get it here all over the fucking place with, well, it's New York. You got to talk like a New Yorker. So let's learn how to talk about them by watching other movies based in New York where they're caricatures of New Yorkers. It was annoying.
So John figures out that Simon stole a bunch of dump trucks and that's how they got the gold out. He hijacks a dump truck and then follows them into an aqueduct. Now, this is a cool scene. First of all, John executes two guys without verifying they're actually bad guys. And luckily they were. They end up blowing the dam, which floods the aqueduct that he's in. In a really cool scene, he has to get out of the car to fix something, and then you just hear like kind of a boom, and like it's very subtle. And then all of a sudden, the tunnel starts flooding with white. It's so cool. What a great scene.
Oh, yeah.
He gets pushed out of a water pipe and lands right in front of Zeus, who just happens to be there for some fucking reason.
Remarkably.
What a huge coincidence. They get into a gunfight, and ipso facto, blah, blah, blah. They find out that all the gold and Simon are on a tanker in the middle of the Hudson River. So they get onto the tanker. They find Simon. Meanwhile, the guys at the school cut the bomb, and they find out that the bomb is a fake, which I thought is a really cool twist, actually.
Yeah,
And
I thought so too.
Simon says, hey, he's like, yeah, I'm a soldier. I'm not a monster. Jesus, you know? It's like, and there's like little moments like that where bad guys have a little bit of humanity. And I love that in movies. There's one scene where they find the bomb. They're going to leave it there. And the guy's like, you can't do that. Some kid could find it, you know? Like, oh, that's nice.
Yes. Oh yeah. And Simon, the character, is awesome. And Jeremy Irons plays this so well. He's not just your typical bad guy. He has a mission. He doesn't care about McClane or Zeus, but he doesn't want the dead kids on his soul. But he's the only interesting guy in his whole group. Everyone else sucks. There's not one other character in his group that I'm like, oh, that guy's cool. Or his silent killer girlfriend. Boring. Do you feel that Simon was the only interesting part of his whole team?
He was certainly the only one who had something to do. Like I said, there is that one guy who's like, no, we can't bomb kids. Like, what are you, insane? There's Ludwig Borga. He always adds to a scene, you know? The bad guys here, they're not like the first one where you got Carl and you got Hans, and they all had their own personalities. They all had their own movies going on. But like I said, in terms of tone, though, these guys are much more interesting to watch than like the second movie, where they're all just mean and they're kind of personality-less. I thought this was really interesting. So they infiltrate the tanker. They catch up with Simon, but they end up now this is another thing where Simon has them dead to rights, both of them. His whole mission was to kill John, but not Zeus. He didn't want to kill Zeus, but he leaves them handcuffed in the hull of the ship where the real giant bomb is, because he told everyone he's going to blow up the gold, and they're gonna have to fish it out of the Hudson River. But if you've ever seen a Die Hard movie, you know it's all fake. So they get free from their bonds. I'm just like, okay, so you got this guy, you got a gun to his face, and it's like, let's leave him like a Bond villain would, and tie him up and just leave him in the hull of the ship. Just fucking kill him. Why doesn't he just kill him?
Yeah, well, it's that whole Austin Powers thing. I'm gonna just make an elaborate death trap and walk away and assume everything's okay. And that's what we get here. And it is weird that he's killing off Zeus, but Zeus has been a pain in the ass for him as well. And it's just like, get rid of all witnesses. And this is a throwback to the first one, because Hans wanted to get away with everything and then kind of pretend he died, so no one looked for him, and everyone assumed everything, the bearer bonds, and he blew up in the blast. So it's a throwback. It runs in the Gruber family, I assume.
I have a theory, actually. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Simon doesn't actually kill anybody in this movie. there's that one bank teller guy, but I'm not sure he actually kills him. So I'm wondering if Simon just doesn't like killing people. And that's why he's playing these elaborate games with John. That's why he lets Sam Jackson go. I don't think he actually wants to kill anybody. So he's got these elaborate ruses going on. And I think that kind of makes him a little more interesting.
I think so too. You're right, because at the ballpark, he could have had the sniper take out Zeus, and he decided not to. That maybe it is more about the show, make them think I'm going to do it, kind of like The Rock with the leader of that group. We're gonna send this virus into California, and he never really meant it. So maybe that's just the illusion that I'm dangerous, where he doesn't really want to be.
Maybe he just doesn't want he doesn't want to be responsible directly for someone's death, so he leaves people in situations where they have the option of getting out of it, and maybe that's how he just feels better. Just a theory. So John and Zeus escape, which is a really cool scene where they jump off the boat and land in the water. The shot of them in the water is so beautiful, where they're just kind of like passed out, and then they wake up all of a sudden. Like, that is such a beautiful shot. Okay, here's where it gets a little wonky. John is going to call his wife because he's been estranged from her for a while, which, bummer. And he figures out that the aspirin that Simon threw to him is from this very specific place just north of the border in Canada. So that's how they track him down, I guess.
Yeah.
And they get into a helicopter battle where they brought Zeus for some reason. And then John gets out of the helicopter. He shoots a power line. The power line wraps around the helicopter blades. They crash and burn, and then John ends up calling his wife. That's Die Hard with a Vengeance. Did you watch the alternate ending of Die Hard?
I did. The alternate ending is McClane visits Simon. Simon is eating, and he sits down with him, and he tells Simon that they kicked me off the force, and they thought I was involved, made me take a lie detector and all this stuff. And he makes Simon play a game spinning a rocket launcher, and he has to pull the trigger if he doesn't answer a question correctly. And eventually it leads to the Simon death. But I really liked the banter, and I thought it was a pretty cool alternate ending. I'm not sure it's better than the first, but I kind of liked it because it kind of showed you where both men stood and who they were. It was pretty fun. What did you think?
I like that ending. I feel like Bruce Willis played it a little too psychotic, completely mad. But like he's a desperate man, and I'm wondering if that was Bruce Willis. Like, I want to do a good, interesting acting ending, as opposed to like a big hoopla. This script is actually based on a previous script called Simon Says, where it's almost verbatim. The first half of the movie is almost verbatim the first script by Jonathan Hensley, and then they kind of reworked it into a Die Hard movie. And it's like funny because that's kind of when things start falling apart around the second half. Things get really contrived, plot conveniences happen, and people just start acting like complete fucking morons.
Oh yeah.
But I like the original ending better because I like the more action-oriented ending, but it's still kind of a dumb ending. It comes out of nowhere and it feels really tacked on. I prefer the original ending, but I can see why they would want to make the alternate ending for the movie. It's more dramatically interesting. That's Die Hard with a Vengeance. We had returning director John McTiernan from the first movie, who couldn't make the second one because he was doing Hunt for Red October. I feel like his presence is felt so much more in a fun way with this movie than Rennie Harlin, who directed the second one. He's a little more lighthearted. He's a little more jovial. He likes more humor, a little more banter. He likes to keep movies light. He also directed like Predator and Last Action Hero, So he's got a good sensibility, and he knows how to direct action like nobody else. What did you think of the returning John McTiernan for this?
It shows. You can see it. You can see it in the film. That, I mean, to take on this undertaking, you and I are film guys. We're involved in film. If we were given the task, even with a budget, to blow up shit practically, to do car chases practically. Imagine blocking that shit out. This is an amazing talent to make an action film like this on the highest level. Maybe he's the only one that could do it. So impressive. This is a high octane action film, no holds barred, and he did it well. This film needed him very much.
Utterly gorgeous movie. The cinematography in it, like, talk about action cinematography. Like, there's one shot I think about, like, when they come out of the park in the taxi cab, and it's like all shot from inside of another car. Like, it's just someone else's POV of watching this car come, like, off of this wall. And I was like, God damn, like, that's such a good choice. And it lends like an aspect of voyeurism to it. I just thought that was so fucking interesting. So, Die Hard with a Vengeance. Best part, worst part. Where does this movie rank for you?
Best part. Wow, this is tough because this movie is so good. I want to say the best part, even though it's not a direct part, was the relationship between McClane and Zeus and how it developed, how they started out not so much friends and they ended up friends. The worst part had to be, like you said, towards the second half, too many conveniences happened. The characters, like the kids with the bad New York accents, and a few other characters that really just threw it out of whack, like the dumpster driver. That was the worst part. And I would rate this as the third in the series, with Die Hard 1 being number 1, Die Hard 2 being 2, and this Die Hard being 3. Die Hard 2 has a special place in my heart. I still love that one, but this one is very good despite its flaws. What do you think? Best part, worst part, where's it rank?
Best part is, I mean, it's obviously, Sam Jackson and Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis returns to a certain kind of John McClane in this movie. You know, he's more emotional. He's at rock bottom at the beginning of this movie. He's like hungover, really pissed off because he got suspended. And you have no idea why. He's on the skids with Holly. Like, everything is just sort of out of whack, and he's like thrown into this movie where he doesn't want to be here. Because, like I said before in the other ones, John McClane is at his best when he's just like, I don't want to be here. God damn it. Like,
yep.
And his interactions with Sam Jackson and the way they play off each other, where John is kind of dim-witted in certain areas and Sam Jackson is dim-witted in certain areas. Perfect movie duo shit. Written so well. The action cinematography is amazing. The scope of this movie, where it's all over New York, is amazing. The stunts where, you know, he's jumping onto trains and they jump onto the boat from The Wire, like, that's all fucking great. The worst parts of this movie are, a lot of it's screenwriting. There's nothing technically wrong with this movie. Like, everybody in it's great. The direction is great. The only thing that really sucks is, like, this weird racial shit that happens that's really distracting at times. There's, like, one time where they're arguing and, like, he's like, you were going to call me the N-word, weren't you? And he's like, no, I was going to call you a motherfucker. Like, and then they arguing about it. It's like, Zeus, if I oppressed you or blah, blah, blah. I'm like, God damn, I don't need this in a Die Hard movie. Okay. Lethal Weapon are the socially conscious action films of the late 80s, early 90s. I don't need this in my Die Hard movie. But I guess it was like post Rodney King, so maybe it was topical. I don't know. But that's where, like, it falls apart. That shoehorned racial shit, and also just like the insane plot conveniences, and ending kind of falls a little bit flat. The action in it is good, but it's just like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yep.
I would say this is the second best Die Hard movie. I love the second one. That takes nothing away from all of these movies. Most of these movies are really great. But there's something about the combination of the first one into the third one. There's a continuity there between acting, character, and direction that the second one just doesn't have. And I love the third one.
Where would you rate Simon as a villain? So you got the naked guy, you got Hans, you got the hacker guy, you got Simon, and you got KGB.
No, that's it. I think that's it for bad guys, and I think that's it for movies. I would say, he's right behind Hans Gruber.
I agree.
Very few villains I can think of that are better than Hans Gruber. Maybe the Joker from Dark Knight. There's something about Jeremy Irons' performance that's sensitive, but also kind of cold. He's different than Hans, and I love that. But Hans had a lot more to do, and I think that if Simon had more to do, if he and John got to interact before the ending, like, you know that scene in Die Hard 1 where Hans and John meet up on like the top floor. Like if
Oh,
there
I
was a
love
scene
it.
like that where the two of them were face to face at least once, I think
Yes.
that would have like maybe put him on the same exact level as Hans. But it didn't happen. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think Simon was underused. Jeremy Irons is just amazing, and this role was so good for him, and there wasn't enough to do. Like I was thinking, as I watched it, how cool it would have been if somehow Hans survived Die Hard and teamed up with Simon to go after McClane. If he didn't fall from the building, if something else happened and they were together. Imagine the magic those two, Simon and Hans, taking out McClane together would have been. But definitely, I would have liked to see more. Jeremy Irons, that last alternate ending where he's amused, endearing, basically kind of saying, hey, it's not personal, John. It's all business. Get rid of the goons. More Simon. The film will play out better. Very fun movie, and the 2 hours and 10 minutes flies by. Before we get to Live Free or Die Hard, we have a segment which is Eric's 2 minute movie review. Every episode we give Eric 2 minutes to talk about a movie that he has seen, and he usually enlightens us with something that we don't expect. So what do you got for us this episode there, Eric?
Smooth segue, brother.
Thank you.
I saw the movie Back Rooms by Kane Parsons,
Oh, I wanted to see that.
starring Chiwetel Ejiofor, and I have no idea how to say this woman's name, Renate Reinsve. Sure.
Okay.
A man discovers mysterious back rooms in his underperforming furniture store, and they seem cavernous. This is a slow burn, brightly lit movie where you have no idea what's around each corner, and it just gets weirder and weirder. Kind of actually reminds me of a book called The House of Leaves, where a room in someone's house just continues to grow and grow and grow until it becomes like a vast chasm. Very interesting movie. It's very engaging. It's so interesting because you have no idea what's going on and what the fuck is happening, and watching this movie sort of unravel and unveil things as you turn each corner into a different section and things become distorted, and it just gets really fucking weird. But I highly recommend this movie. It's not your typical jump scare kind of movie, but it's really fucking good, and I would recommend everybody see it.
I want to see it. It looked very cool, very like suspenseful, very mysterious. And I like mysteries. I like being surprised. So thank you for that. I'd like to see that movie. Now, leading us to 2007, Live Free or Die Hard. Oh, I love that. I like that title. I know it's ripped off from New Hampshire, but don't you like that as a state slogan? Live free or die. Isn't that like the way to live in this world? Hey, we're free, motherfucker. And if we're not free, kill us. Don't you like that?
That's a scary prospect. It's like we're gonna live free or we're gonna die. It's like, okay, New Hampshire, like who's coming for your rights, man? Chill the fuck out.
Oh yeah, they don't have much tax over in New Hampshire. New Hampshire's a good place. I think they
It's
have
like,
zero sales tax. Don't you?
what were you
Don't
saying
you?
about Die Hard 4 or Die Hard 4.0?
Oh, you mean
First
Live
of
Free or
all,
Die Hard?
let's talk about censorship for a second.
Sure.
This movie's rated PG-13. What
Oh, boy.
the fuck? Did it bother you at all that a Die Hard movie was rated PG-13?
I really didn't think about it because it didn't feel like a PG-13 film. It felt like a Die Hard R-rated film. I think they kind of like blew the guy at the PG-13 office. Don't you think? Like the guy at the rating office, he's sitting there saying, "This is R," and then Bruce Willis or whoever shows up and says, "Are you sure?" And then whatever. What do you think?
I'm not sure that happened the way that you describe it.
Well, it wouldn't be Bruce Willis.
He would send his assistant, of course. Did you watch the unrated version or did you watch the theatrical version?
I watched the unrated.
Oh, okay. So that's why it felt like an R-rated movie, is because it was an R-rated movie for you.
Ah, that makes sense.
I watched the PG-13 version where people just kind of fell over when they got shot, and like John McClane said, "Yippee-ki-yay, mother." And
Oh, they did that? They did that shit?
Oh yeah, you haven't seen
Oh.
the PG-13 version of this movie?
No, I always click unrated no matter what I own.
Ah.
Extended version, unrated version, that's the one I'm watching.
Okay. So, Live Free or Die Hard, 2007, directed by Len Wiseman, who directed Underworld, Ballerina, and the new Total Recall movie.
Ouch.
Yeah, ouch. Written by Mark Baumbach, who also wrote Total Recall, Planet of the Apes, Wolverine movies. The basic premise is that a hacker named Thomas Gabriel, Timothy Oliphant, starts shutting down all the computers in the country, turning off all the electricity, basically destroying the entire digital infrastructure of America to steal a bunch of money. So that's kind of on par with every Die Hard villain. They recruit a bunch of hackers to infiltrate the government, and then they kill them. But for one, named Matt Farrell, they recruit John McClane to bring him into. Are they to bring him to Washington or just bring him to the police?
Basically, just to bring him to the police department because they want to speak to him. So they send a local detective, which just so happened to be McClane. And unfortunately, they try to kill Matt. And now McClane's involved in this feud with Tom Gabriel, who I find to be a very weak Die Hard villain. I'm sorry. I like this movie, but I think Timothy Oliphant, he don't have the goods. I'm sorry.
Yeah, a very underwritten character. He has like no personality whatsoever. But when they try to kill Matt, there's a pretty decent action scene. John McClane throws a fire extinguisher and blows it up and sends a guy flying out the window.
Love that.
And then you got a guy who does parkour, which is just like fucking just throw a grenade in there or something, man. Immediately got the idea that this is going to be more of a generic action film where, yeah, the stunts are cool and everything's really slick and polished, but it doesn't have that like dirt, gritty feeling of a Die Hard movie. How did you feel about the way this film looked and the way that the action was done?
I would say I liked it because there was so much of it. They wouldn't let you rest. Here's a car chase. Here's a helicopter chase. Here's a big rig chase. Here's this. Here's that. Here's explosions. The idea in this was just more is more. And it never gave you a chance to digest. I think this film was just about like, let's just keep throwing shit at them. All these different action sequences and strange things and fights, and who cares what the story was? It's a popcorn movie. And I think that's the difference with this one to the other three. They didn't care about what thought was put into it, just make it fun. So I liked it. I would rather deal with a fun movie than a boring retread.
Fair enough. So John drives Matt Farrell, played by Justin Long, who does like, it's like some weird shtick about being hypoglycemic or some stupid shit like that. He's kind of annoying through a lot of this movie. The bad guys shut down all the traffic lights, which is actually a pretty cool scene, just seeing all that traffic in DC everywhere. It's a cool shot where they just do sort of a 360, and I liked that. Then they trap John and Matt in a traffic tunnel after a pretty cool car chase with some interesting camera work, and they just send all the cars in without and turn off all the lights, and people just keep driving like in the dark, crashing into one another. It's like nobody stops to think that maybe I should just like pull over to the side until the lights come back on. But it's pretty cool. And then John launches a car off of a toll booth into a helicopter that is got a sniper in it. Pretty cool.
I loved it.
That's great. That doesn't feel like a Die Hard thing to me, but it's a cool action movie thing.
But you know what felt like a Die Hard thing? When he was getting shot up and the car was on fire. He says, "Car's on fire. That can't be good." That's a McClane line. That was hilarious. Granted, launching it into the helicopter, it was an action thing. But when Justin Long comes to him, he's like, "You shot the helicopter with a car." And McClane goes, "Good shot, huh?" I thought captured the humor of McClane in this pretty well. What did you think of that when he had those one-liners during that scene? Did you think that was classic McClane?
Not really. Bruce Willis, he still cares in this movie. He's still trying, and he's doing a
Yeah.
good job. But it didn't have that feeling of like fighting from underneath, that massive underdog feeling that I think John McClane needs in order to be like a full-fledged character. He's got to feel like at the very bottom of things. And this is kind of where they started playing around with Bruce Willis's old, kind of doddering and stuff. I don't think they quite captured John McClane the way that I imagine him, but I mean, like I said, it's a pretty good Bruce Willis action movie. It doesn't feel like a Die Hard film. So then they have to go to see your favorite director, Kevin Smith, who plays Warlock, I forget what the fuck they're doing. They have to figure out like where they're going to go next. So they figure out that they're going to go after the utilities, and then they have a conversation with Thomas Gabriel over a phone. Again, I just like there's no interaction between the bad guy and John McClane, over telephone, and not a very interesting conversation because Timothy Olyphant's character is crap, basically.
Terrible.
Yeah, he has no feeling, he has no emotion. His girlfriend is killed in this movie, and he's just like, ugh.
You want to make it personal? I'm gonna knock my pencils off the desk. There you go. I'm mad.
He threatens Lucy McClane's life, and he ends up kidnapping her. And then they go to the utilities hub where John gets into a fight with Maggie Q. I still have no idea how this happened. She throws him off the building. He falls to the ground. He gets in a car, drives all the way back up to the top of the building through a parking garage, drives through the office, hits her, and they wind up in an elevator shaft. We were talking about how contrived some of the last movie was. I'm like, that is a really contrived action scene right there. You couldn't avoid getting hit by a car, Maggie Q? I guess not. And then the car falls down the elevator shaft and stuff. And it's fine, right? It's fine. You know how you have to watch a movie and go like, how the fuck did we get in this situation?
Yeah, I think what happened is they're not constrained by practical effects anymore. So let's make it as outlandish as we can and as crazy as we can. Like the cars being launched over McClane and Farrell inside the garage. That's all CGI. The fights with Lynn and McClane, all CGI. I think this is where the film loses a lot. It's kind of like Indiana Jones 4, where everything is CGI. Die Hard lived and died on practical effects, and this film filled it with CGI. And I think that's why there's the disconnect with that scene in the elevator shaft, because it doesn't feel real at all. Even the Bruce Willis anime CGI duplicate looks like a video game character. What do you think?
When this movie does practical effects and it does in-camera stuff, like with the car chase and some of the stuff they were doing was really fucking good. For instance, when he threw the fire extinguisher down the hallway, I think that was a practical explosion. That was pretty cool. But then you're in these ridiculous scenarios, which are only going to get more ridiculous as this movie goes on. You lose something there. I mean, now I appreciate this movie for what it is and being like, oh, yeah, they actually like stopped cars in the middle of a road. Like, that's cool, as opposed to just having CGI everywhere. Watching some of the more recent action movies that have come out, I've really appreciated this movie a lot more. Then they have to do something. I have no idea what the fuck they're doing. Like, they're stealing like the bad guys are shutting down financials of the whole country and stealing all that information and siphoning money off. And they're shutting down the utilities, and they're shutting off the electricity, and they're having what's called a fire sale. So they're basically corrupting the whole computer grid of America.
Yes, everything must go.
I admit I kind of got lost between the going to the main computer mainline thing and then going to the utilities. I'm not really sure where they were when these things happen. So they go to another location, and there's a big cooling fan. John McClane and parkour guy get into a fight. Okay, this is like where everybody gets really stupid. Parkour guy sees that there's a gun on a ledge right above a huge fan on ice. Like this whole room is on ice because of it's a giant cooling fan or whatever. So he drops down, hanging precariously over a fan to grab a gun, which he then falls into. It's like, you're a high-powered mercenary and you just like threw yourself into a fan, you fucking idiot.
Yep.
That's one of those. Okay, this movie's really contrived and really stupid. It's for things like that where the action is so over the top that you can't even really relate to it anymore.
No, yeah, I
Did you
agree.
feel that way?
I watched this film, and they're just trying to give you a show, kind of like a recent Marvel movie, where it's not about substance. It's the sizzle, not the steak here. Where just keep showing shiny, bright things, and the audience will sit there and be happy. And I was to a degree because they gave McClane some lines. I like Justin Long in everything I've seen him in. I think he's a good actor. And I like the balance between the old grizzled cop McClane and the obnoxious, sarcastic Matt Farrell. I like that. But this film is pretty shallow, and a lot of it is where they tried to make the sleek bad guy, and it didn't work. John McClane needs a good bad guy to fight, and if you don't have one, the film really suffers. So you have to rely on the action, and this film is loaded with it, but it is kind of shallow. I'm a fan of it, but then again, I'm not, I guess.
I think the thing is, there's never a doubt in your mind that John McClane is going to win, ever. He's not really outwitted that much. They're like, oh, I can push these buttons and erase your 401k. Ha ha! Who gives a fuck? You know?
Oh, yes.
They'll just get it back. And they kidnap his daughter. Okay, so moving forward, they kidnap his daughter and they kidnap Matt Farrell, who, yes, I agree with you. Justin Long, as the movie progresses, gets a lot better. In the beginning, he's just kind of obnoxious. And then they're all on the move. John is chasing after him in a semi-truck. And then they get a F-35 jet to start going after John because they say John is a terrorist. And so they just start shooting at him, which that's kind of interesting. But I don't think anybody in the military would be that fucking stupid. So this jet starts blowing up like just random city streets to get this like one truck. This movie didn't have any sort of overarching satire about the military or anything like that. It was just this one stupid thing. It was just like, oh no, this jet fighter is just an idiot, and he just starts blowing up a suspension bridge, and the truck is just going up this crumbling off ramp or something. And then this is where I completely got lost from this movie. John jumps out of the truck, jumps onto the wing of a fighter jet.
Oh my god,
and then jumps off of the fighter jet and slides down a gradient piece of gravel and is fine. The jet blows up behind him. There's a big explosion. And I'm like, this is where John McClane stops being just a guy and becomes Arnold fucking Schwarzenegger. I would expect to see that in Commando. I would expect to see that in Cobra, not in a Die Hard movie. And
I agree.
It suffers because the first three movies are they're fantastical, sure, but they're so grounded. The action is so grounded for the most part, with the exception of maybe John getting thrown out from the water pipe and flying 20 feet in the air and landing on his ass. The rest of it is like, okay, I could actually see that happening to somebody. This is like G.I. Joe shit. This is Fast and Furious. That's what this is. It's a Fast and Furious movie.
Yeah, they fell in love with action sequences in this, really. And they never sat to think, does it make sense? And jumping on the jet, anyone else would die. 100% of people would die in that situation. And so it does take away from the against all odds everyday man, because he was fucked up when he stepped on glass in Die Hard. Now he can jump on a jet and land on hard cement and drop 50 feet, and he's fine to proceed with not even a broken ankle. Yeah, kind of far-fetched.
John just happens to land right next to where the bad guys have set up their second base camp. Like it by sheer happenstance. John driving away, and then he's on the jet, and he's like being thrown in all directions, and he just happens to land like 100 feet away from where the bad guys are. He walks into their hideout. Thomas Gabriel shoots John McClane, and then he's got John in front of him, and he's holding a gun to his shoulder. Then John grabs the gun and says, in the PG-13 version, you know what's going to say on my gravestone? Yippee-ki-yay, mother. And then and then the gunshot muffles the sound of him saying motherfucker.
Yeah, I got to hear the fucker part.
Yeah, you lucky bastard. I watched it on Blu-ray, and for some reason, I didn't get the unrated version.
Oh, I have the special edition that comes with the Nakatomi Tower model. Oh, it's cool. And it comes with all the bells and whistles from every movie.
I would have thought so too. I have a special edition, but this was before the 5th one came out, or the non-one came out. Thomas Gabriel flies like 20 feet away, like from one gunshot wound. Then Lucy and Matt like each other, but John's like, no. And then movie's over. Mm-hmm. Oh, man. Although, fun fact, that guy who played Trey, you know, the hacker guy with the glasses?
Yes, yep.
He was in Friday the 13th remake, and he was killed by Jason and John McClane. Lucky bastard.
Oh, interesting.
So that's Live Free or Die Hard. Great title, you're right. But yeah. If this wasn't a Die Hard movie, this movie would be dope as fuck. It suffers from coming after 3 amazing fucking action movies.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like that stepchild. It's a good movie by itself, and I would totally watch it if I just don't call him John McClane, and if he didn't say yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. So, Geno.
Yes.
Best part, worst part, and what do you think of John McClane in this movie?
The best part, it was the relationship between Farrell and McClane. I liked it. I liked that they kind of filled the voids that were missing with each other, where Matt was a weakling and John was a badass, but Matt was super smart and John, the times had passed him by. I like that a lot. The worst part is that it leaned on CGI and the stakes were not realistic. You mentioned it before. McClane, you never had the idea he was going to lose. The reason that is because Gabriel's whole cause didn't make sense in the world of McClane. He needed someone better. He needed a better opponent. They had nobody else throw this guy in. And I'm sure Oliphant is a good guy and a good actor, but here he's not of the level of a Simon or a Hans or a naked guy in a hotel room working out. So that's where it lives and dies. And I'll say something else. Kevin Smith, he was good in this. I liked Kevin Smith in this. I wasn't a big fan of the daughter, Lucy, beating up Emerson, who's 50 times her size. But I liked it. It's not a classic Die Hard movie. It won't go down as as one that people talk about. But for a popcorn movie where you just say, hey, it's a bunch of bullshit and flashing lights and laughs, it's a good watch. I liked it. All right, best part, worst part, and overall thoughts. What do you think, Eric?
Best part, I think, is action cinematography and just like the way everything is shot. It's a beautiful looking movie, captured incredibly well, although there is like weird coloration. And you know what? Like, even at half speed, Bruce Willis is still fucking great. It may not be what I think of as like the classic John McClane, but like Bruce Willis with a gun in his hand, got a gun pointed at his head. There's nobody better. I love Arnold. I love Sylvester Stallone, but you can't beat Bruce Willis in situations like that where he's beaten down and he's running around and he's pissed off. Like that's his fucking role. No one else could ever play John McClane. Ever. No, it is so intrinsically tied to Bruce Willis. Even in this movie, which I don't consider as good as the other 3, he's it. So I was highly entertained by it, but it just has the unfortunate task of coming after 3 of my favorite action movies. But I would say the worst part is definitely the weak villain, and he's such a non-entity. Yeah, he just doesn't. He's just behind a computer screen going like, I'm going to take away your pension. And you're right. Like, the stakes of this movie aren't very high because we're going to wipe away all debt, basically set everybody back to 0. And you're just like, who cares? Like, I may actually prefer that.
I'm going to delete your Target credit card. No! How do you like that, John?
But I promised Target that I would pay him that money, and you're making me a liar. Who cares? You got bombs in cities, you got planes crashing onto Washington D.C., and you got 30 hostages who could be gunned down or blown up by terrorists. Like those are stakes, and they're grounded stakes. And those things on a meta level, you kind of know like the world's not going to end. Like if a plan is too big, you're like, well, there's no way that would happen. Why would I even worry? But hey, Colonel Stewart from Part 2 could crash another plane. They could set off a bomb in a school. They could kill all of these people in Nakatomi. Like those are very real stakes that could happen. This, I just like, it's too big. So I would say stakes not good, bad guys not interesting. It's a pretty sweet movie if you just take it on face value.
Do you think the movie would have been better if Timothy Oliphant was replaced with a guy like Ed Harris? It's someone that could sell this shit. Where in this film, it's almost like they went for sleek, like with Maggie Q being sexy and Timothy Oliphant being this very well-kept guy. Where if you had someone that like Ed Harris that could sell it as a guy with a mission, because Gabriel's mission was a good one, right? He feared for the government or for the country, and the government threatened to kill him, so now he's revolting. That's something that could have been played out well. And not only that, if they thought about it and worked on it, him and McClane could have had some common ground that would have made it interesting. But Gabriel is just so empty. So what do you think? Ed Harris maybe in that role, and a rewrite to make it more believable? What do you think?
I think actually having your antagonist doing practical things, not just clicking on a keyboard. There's a lot of just clicking on a keyboard in this movie, which kind of detracts from it. But if he's out there, maybe he kills people, because I can see this guy being like a slick psychopath who is really good at computers, but he also, executes people and has to kill the FBI director guy. Get him in the field doing things. And I think that is like a huge factor when it comes to a bad guy, is they're actually doing something active.
Yes.
That's something I want. Because you would think a guy who is so frail and weak, like Timothy Oliphant's character, like you don't even get that moment where John kicks the shit out of him. You know what I mean? He doesn't get his hands on him, because like when you got these like little weaselly antagonists, you want the big tough protagonist to come in and start kicking the shit out of him, and that never happens.
He's so forgettable. He's so empty, where you don't even know what his hobbies are. Like he doesn't do anything. Like you said, he just tells people, "Hey, shut that down." Next scene, "Oh, hey, shut that down." There's nothing to him. And I know he's been in other stuff where he's been better, but here, I don't think he's got the chops to be across from Bruce Willis, and the character just isn't there.
Yeah.
This one needed more TLC, but for a action film, when you don't compare it to the other diehards, it's worth a watch. It's one of those things where you're like, hey, you don't have to really watch the whole thing. You can watch it sporadically and still get out of it what you would if you watched the whole thing. It's a popcorn movie. It's empty, shallow, fun. So any final thoughts about Die Hard with a Vengeance and Live Free or Die Hard?
I would say these are two really good action films. Die Hard 3 is one of my favorites. I could watch it at any time. Specifically, though, I think of this movie and the fourth movie as like 4th of July movies, because they take place in the summer and it feels hot, it feels gritty and sweaty and stuff. I love those movies. I love going back to these movies that are from a couple decades back and really looking at where action movies are now and where they were then and what movie stars used to be. Bruce Willis, he's not much to look at. Yeah, he's a handsome guy in his own way, but man, was that guy captivating to watch. Holy shit.
Yeah, when he was focused, he's amazing.
He's incredible and incredibly subtle, too. I love that these movies, and I know I gave the fifth one shit for this, but I love that these movies, like, they don't give him special introductions. In fact, usually when they introduce him, it's like at his lowest moment.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Like the first one, he's panicking on an airplane, and the second one, his car's getting towed and he's whining. The third one is hung over in the back of a car in his underwear. I got to get out of bed today. The first scene he's in the fourth movie is he's arguing with his daughter in front of her stupid boyfriend. That kind of character consistency is really good. And that's the kind of character I respond to. Because if I was going to be in an action movie, I wouldn't want to be in an action situation. I'd be like, oh God, I have to get up today.
Yeah.
I love watching the Die Hard movies because the hero is vulnerable. He's usually at his lowest. He's an underdog, and he always surprises the bad guy by outwitting them. These movies are fucking great for that, where, hey, if you're having a bad day, throw on a Die Hard movie and watch a guy having the 4 worst days of his life. That's what I would say. Geno, we reviewed all the Die Hard movies. Final thoughts on these movies?
Well, yeah, we sure did. You're always entertained, and Bruce Willis, when he's focused, when he's into a project, the project is going to be good. When he came back to do Death Wish, I was skeptical, but his heart was in it. You could see it, and it made it good. When he's into something, it's good. And this was a good example, both of these movies, because Die Hard, with the exception of 5, where he just smirked the whole time for some reason, he was into these movies. He enjoyed the script, obviously, the experience, and it showed. Obviously, 1 and 2 goes without saying, amazing. But 3 and 4, this is like a binge movie marathon's dream. It's wonderful. I like both movies. 3 obviously is better quality. 4 is your popcorn movie, but both good in their own right. And that one line, "Cars on fire that can't be good," makes me laugh every time I think about it. So it's just worth it just to watch that one line. So I highly recommend them both. So we thank everyone for tuning in for our summertime Die Hard as You Can Be time review.
Yippee-ki-yay, mother.
Yippee-ki-yay.
She just killed a helicopter with a car.
I was out of bullets.